James is having lentil soup with some blueberry pomegranate juice, some coffee, and grilled cheese on naan and sweet pickles. We're going to talk about Bit Rot by Douglas Coupland because James read that. Blue Herrings got top of the stack against these other Midsomer Murders. And I'll have to talk about which ones they are. So anyway, you may have noticed this symbol on here because we were drinking this earlier this summer, and you see how much sugar there is in there. Wow, 52% of your daily value. So they decided to actually, Health Canada put a little sugar warning on there. So there we go. So you can read it in English.
So those warnings look like a magnifying glass?
They do.
I hadn't even noticed that.
But you notice that there's nothing on that Philadelphia cream cheese.
There
and
should be two
look at look at how much the saturated trans fat content in that. But I don't know why they didn't put a warning on that, because they do have a one of their magnifying glass things is a warning for saturated trans fat. It has another little magnifying glass for that, for that fat. Whew, that's a cold seat. Anyway, hello birds.
What type of bird is it?
Sparrows. So
I take them for granted a little bit, but
I know, I do too.
There's a lot of them, and they're very cute.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, there's a chickadee.
A chickadee. Hello, chickadee.
Have a look at me.
Yes. You want some food.
Yeah.
So
and a little
that's
appreciation.
another benefit of having dinners outside is the birds come to visit because they are interested. So anyway, I'll talk about this little health warning a little bit later on to this magnifying glass, but I'm just going to put James's cold brew coffee, that this is the same glass he's been working on for ages now, in that container, because I want to take this in. I don't want it to freeze and pop. We've been storing it outside where it's cool, so can't imagine anything had happened to it, but we put a little lid on top of it to keep, well, the birds, they hang out overhead, you know, and well, other things might blow in or whatever too. So yeah, we'll start with Douglas Coupland, I guess, and James will probably talk more about this later, and I'll probably have to go in because
to warm up,
well, probably to warm up too, but no, I'm doing canning. So every time I make the soup, I make a pot of soup, I make a pot of salsa, is I seed the tomatoes and put the juice in the soup, and this is what I commonly make with my tomatoes this year. It's just easy. I get into a system and that's what I do. So, Bit Rock talking points. I put some notes down because I read this a long time ago and I would have forgotten. I knew I'd forget things about it, and I wanted to be able to converse with James about this book because I really enjoyed it. What did you think about it, James?
I enjoy it, like I enjoy his stuff, but not that I agree with it about a lot of his stuff.
No, and you know it's funny because today James asked me, who would you like to hang out with more, Bill Bryson or Coupland? And I said, well, Bill Bryson. I don't think I'd like spending any time with Coupland. But anyway, just different cultures. Bill Bryson, more like us.
And it's weird because Coupland's a Canadian.
Yeah, well, Bill Bryson, more like I was saying to James, more like his brother. And I liked his brother a lot. So, anyway. So, and it's funny that James had asked me that about Bill Bryson, because I was thinking while I was reading Coupland, I was thinking, you know, both Bill Bryson and Coupland write really well. It's just smooth. You read it like a friend is talking to you. Like you're just hearing a friend talking to you. It just flows by. It's a really nice experience. And I hadn't mentioned that to James. I hadn't mentioned, but he knows that I like reading Bill Bryson too. So
I like reading Bill Bryson. I've read some of the stuff, but not nearly as much as you have.
Yeah.
I've read lots of Coupland.
Well, I haven't been reading his stuff in a long time, so maybe I'll go look and see what he's come up with most recently or whatever. So pick that stuff out so we can review it.
Before you start, I'll just point out one of the reasons why it's smooth reading. I'll leave that play out, but generally the paragraphs are short.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
And we both agreed that the tough thing to read in this was the play.
Ooh,
terrible.
Yeah. I left that.
But
ordinarily, I can go through Coupland from the beginning to the end, but
yeah.
That I bookmarked. I think you noticed that.
Oh, so you plan on going back to it?
No, I finished it.
Oh, you did.
But I left it till the end.
That was
about
dreadful.
30 pages of it, which is, I'd say, a half or more.
So here are the talking points. I hope you remember what I'm meaning by this, because I can't.
I might elaborate on some of the stuff.
Number 1, Vietnam, too valuable to die. Oh yeah, I remember that story. So it was a good story. But in the story he was talking about how, well, the character who is telling the story was talking about how the society has put so much into educating him and this and that, and he's out fighting a war and against people who they don't have any education at all. They come in from, I don't know what he said, the rice paddies, and they stick a gun in their hands and there you go, you know. And so those people aren't as valuable, right? That's what he's saying in that. And
well, yeah, he's right, but for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
The folks, the Americans were fighting there, were worse than zero. They were hardcore commies, and hardcore commies, they're not like zombies. They're like horrible. Well, any commie really, but they are with a gun in their hand. They are stone cold killers. That's all they are. They're not there to improve the world. It doesn't matter what they say. We've got a long track record of them. They're stone cold killers. They're terrorists. They are kidnappers. They are plunderers. They are vandals. They are mass murderers. They are mass rapists. On and on it goes.
All right, so the next one, I don't remember this at all, so I hope you do. Number 2, black goo was the hippie right. Do you remember what I'm talking about there?
He's down on hippies or something like that. I'm kind of right at the end of that generation. People from his generation that I knew that were my friends at university kind of thought of him as a hippie, but I didn't understand. I'd rather put up with hippies than people of his generation, standard people from his generation. I'm even talking about a couple of my younger brothers and sisters.
All right, number 3, 9 readers. 1 in 10 Icelanders write a novel in their lifetime, but each gets only 9 readers. Why hope for more? That's what I say. You get 9 readers, that's awesome. I mean, I'm thrilled that I get 1 reader, my mom. That's all. I tried to farm out my book to get other people to just go give me some feedback. And I guess I didn't ask very many people. I asked my mom and James and my sister. And my sister said I'm too busy, and I understand that. She's too busy to read a novel, but then she's reading other stuff that crap. Anyway, but she's not reading novels. She's reading nonfiction, which I have another comment about that. So we went to the library book sale, and James picked out a bunch of stuff. I picked out a few things.
Books.
What I picked out were reference materials that they discarded, and I do not believe that the public library should do that. When they have reference materials, they should go into the general lending library. Not into the dumpster, which I have seen happen, and not into the book sales. They should go so that people can borrow them and check them out, rather than get rid of them.
Shameful.
It is. It's shameful. The stuff that I have here, it looks brand new, and it's stuff that it's not going to go out of date. It's color photographs of Alberta butterflies and descriptions of where to find them and this and that.
Huge thumping books.
Looks great. And some other things that I got. Anyway, but a couple of the things that James got were Icelandic, some sort of Icelandic thing that is great big. Like it pretty much filled the bag just getting those couple things. And I was thinking of this, that somebody wrote this thing that James got, and only 9 people. He'd be the 9th person that reads it or whatever.
Well, it was Icelandic tales. Turns out it was stuff translated into Danish.
Oh, okay.
There were 7. I think that was a 2-volume thing. Sagas, Icelandic sagas. There were 7 volumes of Sigrid Undset's novels, and Sigrid Undset, most people haven't heard of, but that person won the Nobel Prize over 100 years ago, one of the first Nobel Prizes for literature. There were Hans Christian Andersen, he's a Danish writer.
Okay, so where I was going to go from there was that in that section, they had the fiction stuff downstairs and the non-fiction / children upstairs in a little room, right? So they didn't have that much non-fiction and children's stuff. Well, I guess a fair amount of children's stuff. I don't know. On the book sale, but they had a lot of fiction, a lot of adult novels. And we went back we went a little late the first day. Quite late, because we didn't want to be around the crowds. And then the second day we went in pretty much just before closing, and
we were hoping there'd be discounts.
There were so many novels. It was basically the room was still full because people don't want to buy that stuff. So really, the people who are in charge of buying books for the library, for the public who are funding the library, they should make note of that and go, I guess we shouldn't be buying novels. People don't want that. Readers don't want that. The people are like me, watching fiction. That's what we're doing when we go through fiction. We're very rarely are we reading it, and it has to be really well written for us to do so. And not novels, for the most part. So, something to think about. And anyway, I think it's good for everybody to write a novel. That'd be wonderful if as many as 1 in 10 Canadians wrote a novel. And I don't necessarily think that 9 people should read them or whatever. They should expect even that much, but it'd be nice just to have people do that, and then maybe they would value nonfiction more than fiction once they do it, because it's actually writing a novel. This isn't hard. It's just you make some story up in your head, and not that tough to do. So, number 4, the object on the left most valuable. I remember reading about that. So, I never thought that would be possible, but I guess people do research. If you want to sell expensive jewelry, you want to put that on the left.
And there's displays.
Yeah.
Catalog.
100 Japanese cleaning products flushed for the sake of art alone is horrible. I mean, he was saying that people would think it's horrible that he's flushing all this stuff, but he's like, well, it's all going to end up down the toilet one day, or like in the sewers or whatever. Anyway, and it's just like, no, this is a terrible thing. The gut instinct there was right.
Supposed to recycle with some other place.
I
don't know how that works out. Anyway, what's the point?
Number 5. It's good to get people thinking about that, though, because then they might decide to use environmentally friendlier cleaning products. Like, you can clean almost anything with baking soda or vinegar or a combination of the two. Try it out.
I don't think he was talking about that either. I don't think he's bright enough. But he should maybe have threatened to do that.
Number 5, notes on relationships. Fort McMurray, is the most disproportionately male city in North America with the highest per capita video streaming rate in North America. Did you want to talk about that?
Which is what you expect.
Yeah.
Like it's a resource town. Like few others have ever been. It'd be a little bit like a gold rush or something like that. Yeah. And there weren't a lot of women in the gold rush initially. And the ones that were there were to kind of make money off of men doing you-know-what.
Dueling duels. Malawi citizens are only citizens of Malawi. Until recently, one could buy Canadian citizenship for $100,000. Shouldn't we have a global citizenship flush? Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but there should be no dual citizenship possibly unless, with other democracies and with fairly high standards for what qualifies as a democracy. In other words, if it's like People's German Democratic Republic, which is East Germany, that doesn't qualify. Just because they call themselves democracy doesn't cut it.
And honestly, I think that really democratic countries should accept people from other countries as citizens only if that other country is accepting, say, Canadians or whatever.
Unless they're legitimate refugees. For example, I don't have a problem with accepting gay people who are having trouble elsewhere or anybody, whatever. They're not going to swarm population wherever they're going into democracy and end up having their descendants control the democratic process.
Exactly. Because a lot of people think of democracy as, well, one person, one vote, and so if we have lots and lots of children and whatever, then they will get more of the vote, and then we'll have our way or whatever. And that's not a winning strategy.
Muslims are planning not so surreptitiously to do to the whole world. And it doesn't matter to them ultimately very much whether they win by vote or populating non-Muslim countries with fighters.
I'm sure I would have remembered what this meant, but I do not now. Number 4, peace. Green grape.
I forgot.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Green grape.
Okay.
Oh, it was funny. I remember it now. It was he'd sneezed really hard and something came out of his head that was like a green grape. I laughed and laughed.
Are you saying he had trouble with some sort of brain problem?
Yeah, afterwards it was something he couldn't hear. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, maybe hearing. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah,
Number 8, stuffed. Gen X as hornet's nest, hoarding. I did like that. Number 9, frugal. A friend tells you it's not attractive to be cheap. So you soon stop by being cheap. When she ends up marrying a cheap man, you still follow her advice, believing it's unattractive to be cheap. I don't know what the point to that story was. It didn't.
Well, women or men too, but women and 2/3 of relationships that end marriage and just regular relationships. And they've got to come up with some story. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sometimes it's just hard to explain why women make decisions in choosing partners.
Yeah, it's good to find a partner with similar values to yourself. And that one of those things is how they spend money. Do they spend money like you do? Because a lot of relationships, that's what people fight about, is money.
They say the majority of fights and the majority of relationships are over money, how it's spent, how it's saved, how it's earned.
And number 10, IQ 510, very funny.
That's what he was saying. And we're going to have to talk about it because he keeps on saying it's kind of like a sound bite. He makes it entertaining and all that sort of stuff. But he's saying, and he seems to believe it, that people are smarter now because of the, especially the internet and stuff like that, being hooked in on.
So you go ahead and talk about this in Malawi or whatever.
People are stupider because of things like smartphones, access to the internet. On average, they're stupider. Why would I say something that controversial? But folks, that should be uncontroversial. You got people depending on technology for thinking. And it's similar, sad to say, to people depending on technology to get around, to move things and stuff like that. So someone who's got a bobcat could go around to someone who's a real gym hound and say, "Oh, I'm stronger than you because I can move all this stuff with a bobcat and you can't." Doesn't work out that way. The same sort of thing. Someone could say to a long distance runner, "Oh, you think you're really in shape? Well, let's have a little race. You on your feet and your incredibly developed cardiovascular system, and I'm going to jump in my Mustang, 68 Mustang, and I'm going to beat you all hollow. And that makes me a better athlete than you." How much time?
You want me to look? 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
But you're not smarter just because you got your fingers on the keyboard. And he says, we've got all the information that ever existed now at your fingertips. It doesn't quite work out that way. But there's a lot of stuff. What I've been saying recently is there's no excuse for people not being as, basically having the knowledge at least, and wisdom's another matter, of someone with at least one PhD, maybe multiple PhDs, because of the stuff that's available online. But you cannot depend on your fingers to do the thinking for you. Let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages. You've got to internalize that stuff that's available on the internet. It's potentially valuable. But if people aren't actually inputting that information between their ears, they're not going to come up with anything new. That's the whole idea with knowledge. You use your wisdom to come up with new formulations, hopefully formulations that have a closer resemblance to reality than the formulations we're living with and dying of up till now. Again and again he says this, and that's where I really draw the line with the guy, because he's always talking about the technology and all that sort of stuff. I don't call smartphones, I call them dumb phones. People are just turning into slobbering idiots, not just while they're using it, and you've seen that look. They got this slobbery smile on their faces. It's more like this. But they're that way when they're off. It's, you expect to see them like this, like when they don't have something in their hand, just walking around like zombies. You guys that are hooked on that stuff, you are useless. Your brains are just obese. You are flabby and obese. That's what your brains are.
All right, so asphalt, car tires, paint, sugar, and drywall contain beef byproducts?
Yeah, everything in that quiz.
I haven't looked that up to see if that's actually true.
Yeah, exactly right. Everything but baby powder and beef products in it. asphalt and tires and all sorts of other things.
So blue herrings. This one was the story about the old folks home. So you have Burnaby's aunt who's living in, or she's living in the senior center, and
for a while she's just there temporarily.
And some mysteries happen there, and he's called in. Well, she calls him.
Well, the mysteries get more and more serious.
But this one was a good mystery, so I enjoyed watching it. The ending, though, the woman should be charged with murder. There's no question about it. And how he's acting all sympathetic or whatever, no, that's murder.
Well, he can be
plain and
sympathetic,
simple.
but he's still got to arrest her.
So this one is Talking to the Dead, which was also good. It was about a haunted woods or whatever. So I enjoyed it quite a lot. Very good mystery there. And then these other ones are okay too. So Death in Disguise, Written in Blood, not as good. Strangler's Wood, I didn't care for. Especially the ending. Why? It didn't even make sense. Why would the guy have brought the person that he did out and intended to kill the person that he did?
I've kind of forgotten what that one was. So I might not have seen it. What was that? Oh, that one.
Yeah,
okay.
no, good. So it didn't make any sense. So some of these mysteries, it's like they write them earlier that day, and it doesn't. They don't have time to actually make them make sense or whatever. They're just silly. So then I put Judgment Day. Then I put Big Little Lies. From the producers of Big Little Lies, the last anniversary. Not really full of mystery as claimed, and not very good. It's just some stupid drama. If you liked 6 Feet Under, you might like it, but even then, I don't know. Dark Autumn, I put this bottom of the stack, and I can't exactly remember why, but I remember thinking, this was terrible. See, the thing is with these mysteries, it's very hard for me. They have stupid names for that's the real mystery, is why Midsomer Murders, the creators, gave them these stupid names for these mysteries. Because I don't remember what mystery Dark Autumn was. And I just watched it within the last few days. Have no idea. And I know it was the bottom of this stack. I remember considering putting it under Agent Hamilton, which was really stupid.
That's a long-term near the bottom of the stack prospect, that one. From Sweden. Awful.
So bad. And James is probably not going to talk about it still because we only have about 40 seconds. So
40 seconds.
Talk about what you want to talk about.
You were talking about beef products and stuff like that. That was a kind of like a Trivia Pursuit question someone put together.
Oh, yeah.
It's more like Quadrivial Pursuit. And folks, I am got copyright on that. It's the quadrivium is stuff that wasn't trivial. That was on the kind of like the Latin prospectus for study and stuff like that. So, and he was belittling, no one's into Trivia Pursuit because the stuff's all available. At the end of your thumb tips, it's not available for your brain to process.
Yeah, because really, you learn something and then your brain comes up with